much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to finally chat with you.
You're one of those unicorn people because you're really smart and then you're equally pretty. And it's like, that's not fair.
That's really nice of you to say. Thank you.
It's not fair at all. I'm sorry. But when you see somebody who has that like magnetic energy that you have and you're that pretty, you're like, God wanted this one in front of a camera. Clearly. All right. So let's get into it. So we're going to talk about your journey because it's not normal. It's not normal at all. It's so dumb. It's like so dumb what you've been able to do. So we're going to talk about your journey and then we're going to talk about your podcast and then we're going to talk about everything else. So tell us how you did this thing. How did you go from being just a girl who like goes to get coffee to like now everybody knows you and you're on YouTube and all those things? Like what the heck happened there?
I mean, it's bizarre, first and foremost, but so the whole thing, honestly, in the beginning, and I think this is, if I can give one big takeaway from my very weird journey, is that I treated everything I did as an experiment. Like I literally did not look at any outcome that I wanted to achieve. I was just like, I wonder what would happen if I did this. And honestly, YouTube was an accident for me and a very happy accident. But basically, I had my own business. I've always been entrepreneurial. It's funny, I was entrepreneurial before entrepreneurialism was like the hot new thing. And I just was always fascinated by creating something out of nothing. So I also was always interested and really passionate about communication and to talk to people and to tell stories and to inspire people and to help and educate people. So naturally, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to go into TV. I want to be in broadcasting. I want to be in media. So that's what I grew up knowing and having laser focus. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Done. And I was always the kid who was like such a try hard, straight A's, like all the things, president of my class. And I was like,
totally see that. Oh my God. Hey, vote for Sunny.
Yes. There but also hilariously, like was also in theater and dance and was like total drama kid. Like, so I just had this funny little upbringing where I was kind of dabbling in all these things that all led me to where I am today. And I do know that particularly for women, it often is very like circular how our paths go and everything does connect to one another. So basically, when I finished high school, I got into a really good university here in BC, in Vancouver, where I live, UBC. And the day before I was supposed to start, I decided, you know what? This isn't for me, because I also am extremely impatient. So I was like, I don't really understand why I need to study for 4 years and then I would need to study for another 4 years to work in media. Like, I don't get it. And why am I studying like Italian? Why am I studying Italian in my first, like I'm Italian and I love that, but I'm like, do I really need to go to university and pay this much money to learn Italian? No. So I was like, I don't want to do it. So much to my parents' dismay, I came home and I was like, so I have decided I'm not going to go to school, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go work 2 jobs. I am going to take night classes in broadcasting and I'm going to get into this broadcasting school in Vancouver. And that's what I'm going to do. And so they were like, okay. So I worked around the clock for that year and I got as much real world experience as I could in the broadcasting industry. I worked for a radio station, literally was the mascot for a hot minute. Did it all. And I highly recommend doing it all because that helps you figure out what you want to do. So did all that and then went to broadcasting school. And before I graduated, because I'm the overachiever, I got a job before I graduated in radio. And I was the traffic reporter and I was the evening and weekend host. And I loved it. And I was like, I remember I was actually talking to one of my first boss who hired me. Weirdly, we stayed in touch through like some really strange events. And he messaged me. He was like, remember that time I offered you your very first job and it was for $26,000 a year and you were pumped? And I was like, yes, I do. Because I really believe that happiness and success, yes, money is an amazing thing, but I need to be happy to feel successful. And I was like, I get to talk for a living. Like, are you kidding me right now? This is the dream. I am living the dream. I have made it. I was the first of my friends to get a real job. I was like, this is amazing. And I'm doing something that's fun and that I love. So I did that. And then
can I just say one thing just to make you feel seen right now? I think one of the attributes, one of the adjectives I would use to describe you most is this enthusiasm. It's like so infectious. And that is such a gift because people see that and they feel it because it just is, right? You don't have to fake it. Just, you can feel it and people want to sidle right up next to it. And I do think that that has a lot to do with your success, is like mustering that enthusiasm. Like, let's do this. I get to talk about traffic. Yes. Like no one wants to do that. No one wants to hear about traffic, talk about it.
I think the key to that for me too is that I look at the other options. Like I was like, oh my God, I could go to school and be an accountant like my other friends, or I could be talking on the radio for a living. Like I'm going to take option B because that seems way more fun to me than crunching numbers all day.
I agree.
Literally my hell.
I agree. So, and you really knew yourself so well because you were like, I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to take this path. And you just kept going with your gut. Now, for those of you who don't know, because I want to like ramp it up because it's amazing. Is it true? Over $5 million in revenue from organic YouTube.
So we've done over 6 million at this point in my business.
Oh, look at that. But no, it's 6 million.
Actually, no, but and in fairness, we do run paid ads now. But in my first 2 years of running my business, I didn't use any paid ads, and we scaled to multiple 6 figures without paid ads.
Are you guys hearing this? She's talking about money she was able to make from YouTube.
Yes.
To the tune of $6 million.
Yeah.
That is not normal. Okay. So
it's not normal. But it is.
Go ahead.
But it is. Like, what I will tell you is that it can be. And that's why I'm so dedicated to doing what I do now. And I think it was such a natural transition for me.
Please teach us. We don't even know what that means when you're like,
yeah. So I'm gonna tell you exactly how it happened and exactly how you can repeat it, because if you've at all come across what I do, or you've looked at our reviews, and I have a whole wall of fame, we like to call it, and we have something called the 100K Club, which is all of our clients who have soared past 100,000 subscribers, and a lot of them pass $100,000 in revenue, whether it's per year or per month from YouTube. Yes, so it's not magic, it's repeatable, and I think that's the biggest thing is I took what I did and I created a system out of it. But I also fell into it ass backwards. I don't know if I can swear on this, but I'm going to. I fell into it ass backwards. And I just sort of kept following those little clues. So I built a little consultancy business, did that for 5 years behind the scenes, didn't have social media, didn't have a brand, didn't talk about what I did. Like nobody knew what I did. I just built other people's social media presences and I managed them. And I worked for like restaurants all the way up to huge corporations, etc. So I got my feet wet and got into the nitty gritty for 5 years, and I learned it and I loved it and I was really good at it. So my whole business grew by word of mouth. And then I hit a ceiling because I couldn't take on any more clients, and I also really didn't want to have a team.
And what were you doing for those clients? Helping them with their YouTube channel or anything?
No, that's
branding,
the funny
marketing?
Thing. I was doing everything. I was doing all social media strategy. And I was doing it at a time where nobody really knew what social media was or why people were using it. So this was back in 2010. And I built the business up, built it all by word of mouth. And I was doing everything from content calendar to actually posting to communicating to sales via social. So I learned everything. And my metrics that I was being based on was like, how much money are you making from this for our business? It wasn't like, how many followers do we have? Nobody cared. They were like, how much money are you making? So I learned really quickly, and was trial by fire. I needed to know how to monetize content very quickly. So I did that. And then when I hit that ceiling and I couldn't take on more clients because I was a one-woman show, and my impact and everything was like hitting a limit in income, I basically fell into YouTube by just creating a video that was meant to answer my client questions all one time, because I just couldn't get on the phone. I couldn't go to meetings. It just took too much time for me. So all my clients were asking the same things, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. And I basically was like, okay, I'm going to answer these in a video and I'm going to send it out. So the first question was around Periscope, throwback, and how to use live streaming. And so I made this video with a stack of books as my tripod, an $80 webcam that I found in like my junk drawer in my house.
With it. I love
and
it.
a like teeny little tiny apartment with a window for lighting, nothing professional. And so I made the video, I put it on my channel at the time. And my channel at the time was full of like old family videos, random vlogs, and like had no strategy. And I had no subscribers. So post the video, go to sleep, send it to my clients, email it to my clients, go to sleep, wake up the next day, it has 2,000 views. Very confused. I'm like, what just happened? Why are people watching this? How are they finding it? And I should have washed my hair, because I did not look my best in that first video. But that's the biggest takeaway, is that I did not care about what I looked like or what I sounded like. I cared more about making sure my client fully understood and got the value out of the video that they needed, so I didn't have to waste my time getting on the phone with them again. So it was a little bit selfish to scale myself out of it. So that basically started everything. And I was like, light bulb moment. YouTube is a search engine. People are looking for what I have to provide all day, every day. How do I just like continue this momentum? And so I basically challenged myself. I was like, I'm going to do this once a week for the next year and see what happens. I did it once a week for the next year, just answering questions, just answering FAQs, and really dialed in my own system. We now call it the Sunny system, and created 4 phases of growing on YouTube. And in that first year, I went from nothing, like no channel, no nothing, to 50,000 subscribers, 3 million viewers. And so just imagine that, like imagine if 3 million people discovered you in the next year and what you're really good at. So, and naturally everything blew up. My business blew up. All these people wanted to work with me. All these people wanted to hire me globally. So then out of pure desperation and necessity, I was like, I don't know how I, one human being, am going to be able to work with all these people, but I see such a huge opportunity here. How do I leverage this? That's when I started packaging my expertise into online courses. And that's basically how we've been able to scale in the way that we have so fast. And I also created this like signature methodology that's now inside of my programs to help people grow their businesses organically using YouTube. And we have a lot of clients now. We actually, one of my clients I was just talking about the other day, he had 1,900 subscribers in June of 2018 or 2019 when he joined the program. And then he basically started consulting with me in our Authority Accelerator program. And he's now at just under 100,000 subscribers, like 98,000 in 8 months. And he just did $97,000 last month in revenue, and he's on track to do $120,000 this month in revenue from YouTube. So
I mean,
it's doable.
What do you even say? Like, what am I supposed to say about it? Cool, great, awesome, good job. What word? Give me the words.
It's amazing.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm very happy about it.
Well, you should be really happy about it. It's just insane. You guys, listen to what she just said. She didn't say this guy started in 2008 and he had 1,900, and now she said 2019. Like, people have all these misconceptions, like, forget it, it's over, it's done, there's too many, you know what I mean? And you're like, and then yesterday this happened. Like, yeah,
and it just, the thing is, and I don't want to sound like I'm like gloating, but at the same time, like, it just does happen. Like, it happens. It happens. Like, if you look at our wall of fame, we have so many examples of this. We have another woman who started our program last January. She had 8,000 subscribers. That took her 4 years to get to 8,000 subscribers. She's a life coach. And today she's got 116,000. So
it's so crazy. I have to say, I started this podcast thinking like 6 people were going to listen to it. And my mom and my sister and 3 friends. And that doesn't add up to 6. I'm really good at math. But the point is, in 3 years, we're almost at 15 million downloads. But here's the thing. Nobody knows that I'm on YouTube. Evan Carmichael about 6 months ago was like, you're an idiot. Like, I'm mad. And he actually stopped the interview. He's like, these should be recorded on video. What are you doing? Put them on YouTube. I'm like, Evan, I can't do that. No one's going to watch them. Still, no one watches them. I don't know anything about YouTube. That's why I was convinced that like YouTube is like, forget it. So I don't spend any energy there, except for the fact that we now record these, because Evan's like, I will cut you and come to your house and be mad at you if you don't start putting these on video. I'm like,
oh
okay,
my
fine.
gosh, that's so funny.
Literally for him, this is for you, buddy. We started recording them, and now you're saying these things. Can you tell our audience?
Yes.
Would you mind? Is that okay?
I'll share. Yes, of course. I love talking about this.
This will be the most viral episode ever. Share. Tell us things.
How do people do it? Okay, so the real key here is completely.
She's rolling up her sleeves.
I'm like, let's get into it. It's completely counterintuitive, because oftentimes when people go onto YouTube or create any kind of video content, they treat it like Instagram, they treat it like Facebook, they treat it like any other platform, which we call in my business on-demand platforms. On-demand platforms mean that you post something, you get a reaction. YouTube is very different in the sense that you can have that happen, but that's more based around virality, and there's an equation for that. But the more realistic thing, and the thing that's so desirable about YouTube, is long-term evergreen traffic, which is why you're able to consistently generate leads and sales in your sleep. And that sounds like marketing wizardry, but it's true. And a lot of people think you can only do that with paid ads. You can do it with YouTube too, but most people dive into YouTube and they're like, I'm going to make a video about inspiration or entrepreneurship or motivation. And I'm like, good luck to you, because it's an ocean. YouTube is an ocean. That's how you need to think about it, how you need to visualize it. There are over 400 hours of video uploaded to the platform every minute. So you, as a tiny speck and drop and raindrop in the ocean, you can't expect to be found when you're diving in the deep end. So how we do it is we want you to dominate, rise to the top in the shallow end, or the kiddie pool is how we put it. So we want you to be a very big fish in a very small pond. And that benefits your channel for two reasons. One is that you basically find gaps in the algorithm, gaps in the market on YouTube, and that's based around a couple of factors. So for brand new channels, our formula is between 100 and 1,000 in the search volume. So that's how many people are searching for that topic on a monthly basis. Less than 100,000 in the search pool. So that's the amount of competition or search results you're competing against. The views and velocity, ideally the top 5 ranking videos for that category or that topic you're trying to reach.
I'm taking notes. This is what I'm doing all of a sudden. You guys listening, pull over and take notes. Keep going.
So the views and velocity is the third factor, which means that, let's say I want to make a video on how to be a life coach. Let's just use that as an example. The top 5 videos on that topic, I'm looking for them to be older than 1 year. I want them to be posted over a year ago. And I also want to see that they have more views than they have subscribers. That's the ideal situation. Because if they have more views than they have subscribers, it means that it's in demand and being searched, and there's an audience for it. And also, if it's older than 12 months, it means there's a gap for you to be able to rank number 1, because YouTube wants new, good content to show up first, because that increases their user experience. So that's the third factor. The fourth factor, I'm good at math too, fourth factor is the rating. So there's a tool called TubeBuddy that I use all the time, and I highly recommend it, and I use it with all my clients. Basically, it gives you a score. And so you want to look at that score, and it should be at fair or above. Anything under fair is not going to be a good topic. So if you have all 4 of those factors, we basically call it guaranteed view videos. It's GVVs. And we know that you're going to get seen because you're not diving into this massive pool as this tiny little nugget trying to get seen. Now you're diving into the shallow end, and you're rising all the way up to the top because you found a gap. And that's how it happens. And then as you do that, if your niche, I'm just going to keep going back to life coaching. If your niche is life coaching, you basically want to work to the algorithm's favor, because it's an art and a science on YouTube, but a big piece of it is that it's a robot and it's a machine, and YouTube really loves to know where to put you. So if you talk about life coaching and that's who you're trying to reach clients who want to hire a life coach, everywhere someone looks in every kind of variation around the term life coach, you should be found. So that's how you make your content. What are people searching for? How would they find you? There's your content. And you want to basically show up everywhere that they're looking, and then you become the authority. And as you build the authority in the algorithm for that keyword, you start being able to go after more aggressive topics. You start diving into the deep end, and you start beating competitors a lot faster.
So good. It makes so much sense. And by the way, when you do what you just did, which was extremely generous, and it's obvious how much you're a master of it because you can just like rattle it off, it's also so obvious why someone would want to pay you to be in your program.
Right.
Because you just A, gave away gold for free, and then B, anyone who has any brain would go, but I want to really know how to implement that. Like, I don't just want to hear it. I want to be all over it, which means now I get to really understand how to implement every one of those things, which I'm sure is what your courses teach, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so,
brilliant.
Yeah. And I think like my whole business strategy, which again feels very counterintuitive, is I just truly believe that generosity equals abundance. I think the more that you give, the more that you get. And I think we are long past the days of teasing people and like giving them a little something.
Please.
Because people are smart. Consumers are smart. And if I were listening to this podcast and you were to ask me, okay, well, how are your clients actually doing that? How are they getting to $100,000 a month in revenue? And I was like, well, you're gonna have to buy my program to find out. I'd be like, screw you, lady. Like, I don't want to. I don't know how do I even know you're good at what you do? And that's just a one-off thing. And so that's where I think it's really important that you know how to back up the results that you have, and 100%. You actually have a methodology for people to get there and to 100%. Repeat it over and over again.
And the truth is, everything is implementation. No one needs a to-do list, right? No. We need a to-done list. And with you, it's like everything you just said needs to be on the to-done list, which means I need to really know how to do it, right? And I'm not even here to sell your program. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just saying I'm very impressed with how much you know. Can we just unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Give me an example of a keyword. Give me an example of titling something and how you start to be doing sort of that like surgical, like I'm going to start in the kiddie pool kind of a thing. Can you give me a concrete example of it?
Yeah. So I have a lot of videos where I kind of break this down on my YouTube channel too, so you can see it in more visual aspects. And also if you go to bossyoutubestrategy.com, I do break this down. It's free training. You can check it out there. Right. But basically how it works is it's really just long tail. And like long tail means that you're creating less competition. So let's just say the keyword was something like how to make money. This is so broad. But like how to make money, that would be the keyword that you want to tackle. I would say to you, okay, you're diving really into the deep end there, and you're probably competing with like hundreds of millions of results. And so you're never going to get found. So let's take that a little bit further. What kind of money? Where are you making the money? What business do you want to implement to make that money? So let's say we turn it into how to make money as an online course creator in 2020. That whole thing that I just did slowly chips away at the amount of competition that you're having to compete against.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that the search volume associated with how to make money is still attached to that long tail keyword. So you still have a lot of demand for that topic, but you're targeting a much less competitive audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense. I love it. One thing I want to ask you, which is a little bit broader, but it relates to YouTube videos, and it relates to what you just did when you talked about how you pitch and how you share your generosity. A lot of people have a really big fear around putting themselves out there. And I have to give it up for you, because I mean this genuinely. I only know like 3 people who put themselves out there the way you do.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. I would say like you, Marie Forleo, and Amy Porterfield are like, this is what it takes, guys. This is what it takes. And like, no one wants to do it. Like, who wants to do self-promotion? Who wants to be, right? I think there's a part of it where you're like, I can't not, because it's selfish, because I can help you make $100,000 in a month. And if that's possible, even for 16 people, how could I keep that? I know that you know that, right? That's number one. But there's a lot of people listening right now who are going to say, Kath, she looks like Felicity, for God's sakes. It's true. You know it's true. So it's like, they're going to say, she looks like freaking Felicity. She is Italian. Like, could that be any sexier? No. She's awesome. She's energetic. All these things. Let her do it. You don't get it, Kath. I can't. I'll never make it. It won't be cool. You know, meanwhile, my kids watch children who can barely speak unbox videos. And I'm like, this kid's making $4 billion a year. He's 9. You know what I mean? Anyway, so what do you do when you want to encourage somebody who feels like, not me, I can't, it's not me. Like, I'm taking myself completely out of this because I don't feel like I could go on and I could do anything on video.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of things that you can do to get over that. And I do hear that a lot. And I mean, on a very sort of spiritual level, because I am very spiritual as well, I do think that is all attached to the ego. It's all attached to trying to protect yourself. And it's a really convenient excuse to play small and to continue to be jealous of the people who are doing the thing. So that's my one thing. My second thing is that why I love and am so passionate about YouTube, and it actually like makes me emotional to think about, which sounds so silly, is that if you look at, we've now worked with over 6,000 people in our programs.
Wow.
7,000 people in our programs. And if you look at the spectrum of people that we have been able to support and show up into the world, everyone looks different. Everyone is from a different walk of life. We have people we have one woman, she was 73, I think at the time. And she came into our programs and Gary Vaynerchuk featured her in one of his videos. Like, come on. And she was like, this just made my whole life. I was like, yes, because you're doing it. Yeah. And so what I think is really important to understand about, let's just take YouTube as a platform, it's democratized success. It's democratized celebrity. You don't have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way in order to be successful. And I have gone through my own journey with this, and you're very kind with all your compliments, but I had my own insecurities, and just one really little thing that I was so insecure about was my hair. And I straightened my hair for my whole life, basically, ever since I got a flat iron in my hand from the age of like 16 onwards. I didn't ever wear it naturally curly because I was so embarrassed about it. And I thought it looked ugly because I got made so much fun of when I was a kid. And so
That's hard to believe.
Right? It is. And people have said that to me. They're like, are you insane? And I now embrace it and I love it. And I actually made a commitment to not straighten it about 1.5 years ago. And I haven't since, and I've embraced my curls. But like, everyone has their shit. Everyone has their stuff that they feel insecure about. And for me, you just always have to come back to, are you really going to let something like that stop you from creating what you want?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it is that the moment that, it's very superficial, but the moment that I stopped straightening my hair, the amount of people who came out of the woodwork to be like, oh my gosh, my hair is the same way. Like, what do you do with it? How do you, whatever. And they're like, I see myself in you. And so I think the thing to understand is that your biggest differentiating factor, and I run into this all the time with my clients. I'm going to tell you a funny story in a second about this and like where people go so wrong in trying to build a business and why they feel like they can't do it. Is that they're often looking at the external and they're looking at other people as what they should be doing, when everything you need to build a successful online business in particular is within you, is within your story, your journey. We call it your 0 to hero journey, your own problems that you solve for yourself or somebody else, and in what you look like and what differentiates you, your backstory, where you come from, what you sound like, what you look like. All of those things are what make you win today. Because if you're trying to look like everybody else, you blend in to the sea of sameness. And so I was talking to somebody the other day who wants to build an online course. And that's what in our Authority Accelerator program, we help you to build your course, sell it, launch it, and then scale it with YouTube. And so this person came to me and he was like, jacked dude. Like, I'm talking like huge muscular dude. And I was like, okay, let's talk about where you want to start. Like, what are you thinking about when it comes to your niche right now? And he was like, I really want to help moms lose weight. And I was like, huh? What? And I was like, okay, why? And he's like, well, I don't know. I just saw that there was like some really successful people out there doing that and like had helped built businesses around it. I was like, and what did those people look like? He was like, I don't know. I guess they were all women. And I was like, okay. I was like, so why would you want to go there? Like, why would you want to do that? And he's like, I don't know, because it looks like it works for other people. I'm like, it works for other people because that's their journey and they've actually solved the problem for themselves. I was like, what's your journey? And then he went deep into that he had struggled with addiction, and then fitness had helped him overcome a lot of his battles with addiction. Beautiful. And I was like, and there it is, everyone. Like, that's your purpose. That's what you're here for. Yeah. And that's what you're here to share. And so my like passion for what I do does not come from the numbers and the monetary and all that stuff. My passion for what I do is I really genuinely, and because I used to be a journalist, I think this is just always innately been in me. I really believe that every single person on the planet has a story to tell, and there's someone who needs to hear it. Whether that's one person or 1 million people, we all have a story to tell. And if you don't show up because of your own insecurities, you're doing such a disservice to the world.
It's so true. And it's so good. And it really goes back to what you said about the kiddie pool and the shallow one, is you want to differentiate yourself. You don't want to be like everybody else. It makes so much sense. And people do get so stuck there. It's like, well, that might be true about my search words, but not about me, not about the fact that I'm whatever I am.
Well, yeah. And I think like oftentimes, I'm sure this is not a shock, but people will come to me and be like, well, I want to be Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm like, why? Because that's the only model of success that you see.
Yeah.
Usually that's what it is. And one of my favorite quotes is, you can't be what you can't see. So I also think that we all have a responsibility to show up because we need more
That's so good.
diversity.
Yeah,
And
we do.
if we're only seeing a very loud, love Gary Vaynerchuk, speaking with him very soon, but like, if you only see a white dude as the pinnacle of success, then how the hell are you supposed to think that you can win? But I'm telling you, if you go and look and just do a little research for any topic out there, you're going to find a variety of people who are talking about it. And there is an opportunity for everyone. There has never been a better time in the world, in the history of the world, to show up.
It's so brilliant. It's so good. Oh my God, there's so much here. I wanted to ask you more about, do you think that, because it's interesting, and we're going to get to this because it's so cool. People who listen to podcasts tend to listen to more podcasts, right? So it's like, awesome. I'm always like, great. I hope I can find other people that they can now go listen to because it just feeds on itself. You started the Sunny Show podcast.
Yes.
Now having the podcast and the YouTube, do you feel like if someone's listening and they're going to choose something to double down on, would you say do YouTube, do podcasts? What do you see as the differentiator there? Do you think one space is more crowded? Do you think one space is harder than easier? I'm just curious.
I really believe that it comes down to your own personal strengths. I think you need to play to where your strengths are. And so if you are terrified of video and it doesn't feel natural and you don't feel like yourself doing it, that's okay. Maybe podcasting is better for you. Maybe photography is better for you and you want to lean towards like Instagram as a platform. But for me, I really enjoy both. But I will say that YouTube has definitely been the more powerful driver in our business because I do feel like when people are watching a video, they are more active, I guess, and they're more likely to take action. That's just been my own experience. Whereas in the podcast, it has built such a deep relationship with my audience.
Right.
Like YouTube has allowed me to go wide. Podcasting allows me to go really deep. And I think it makes people feel like we are truly besties.
Intimacy. Yeah.
Yeah. And they get to know me on a whole different level. So I think those are kind of like the different things for me that I've noticed and how I leverage both of them, I guess, to my advantage.
Yeah. I love that. That makes a lot of sense that there's a depth, but then there's a broadness. Most people, the data shows they don't even know how to find a podcast. Most people.
Totally. I also was talking to somebody yesterday who we just hired somebody to help with our podcast and just like production wise on the back end. And she's amazing. And she was like, you really have to say, oh, be sure to subscribe to my podcast for free. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, a lot of people think it's a paid subscription. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Not only that, but the podcast is a native app that comes with the iPhone.
Yes.
People are like, how do I find it? I'm like, you see this purple thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I never noticed that. I'm like, that's a podcast. Like there's whereas YouTube, like you said, it's a search engine. Everyone's there. The whole world is there. And I think it's amazing that you not only embraced it, but that boy, did you make such a huge mark and you continue to. And I have no idea where it's going for you because it's just.
Nor do I.
It's amazing. What do you think about sort of like the do's and don'ts of like good content? Let's talk about the content for a second because we talked about some of the searchability of it and how people can grow their, but like the content has to be great, right? It has to be, okay. So what's some things that are good things and some things that you go, but don't do that?
I think honestly, there's really just one golden rule because there's so many layers to content and we do run off of the idea that YouTube has a funnel system to it, just like anything else, just like paid advertising. Your top of the funnel content is going to be more broad topics that they're going to reach a bigger audience, bring in more eyeballs, but it's a colder audience and you're going to have to nurture them into the bottom of your funnel, into your buyers. Middle of the funnel is really for like medium, getting warm, dipping their toe in, interested leads. So it can be a little more reflective of what you eventually are going to offer or sell. And then bottom of the funnel is like very hot leads. So for an example of that would be for me, anytime I talk about like financial freedom, becoming a millionaire, passive income, that's top of the funnel. Because there's a whole audience out there that's like so interested in that. And then they get to know me and they're introduced to me. Middle of the funnel is you want to build a personal brand. This is how to do it. Because then people are starting to understand like, oh, this girl, I found her on YouTube. Obviously, she's got like a brand behind her. How do I do that? And then the bottom of the funnel is you want to build your revenue and generate leads with YouTube? Join me. And that's when people are like, oh, I'm so interested in that. I'm a hot lead. But those videos tend to get the least amount of views, but they convert the best. So there's so many layers with YouTube, and you can play with all the layers, and this goes with all of the content out there. I think there's like educational, inspirational, community-based content. But the one golden rule for me with any kind of content on any platform is I don't care how many views or hits you get, are people actually paying attention? So retention for me is everything. Are people tuning in and staying tuned in? And if they're not, why? What's happening? What's going on with your content? What's going on with your scripting? What's going on with your caption that's making people tune out or not actually take it in? And a lot of the times I can say for YouTube, the biggest mistake people make is they explain why somebody should watch the video, and they talk about themselves for the first like 3 minutes. So that's a huge mistake, just because people already know why they want to watch the video because they've clicked on it. Right. So you don't need to re-explain it to them and waste time doing that, because it wastes time getting to the point. And also think about your own habits. One of my favorite examples ever is I was speaking on stage, and the person who was interviewing me was like, oh my gosh, you're right, because my fire alarm was going off in my house and I couldn't figure out how to dismantle it. So obviously I went to Google and I found a YouTube video, because Google owns YouTube, and it taught me how to do it. But I noticed there was like all these videos that came up, and I went to the quickest one. And I was like, what you just said applies to everything, because people don't have time. So they just want you to get to the point as quickly as possible. Yeah. So that's a big piece of success, especially with video content, because people don't have the time to waste for you to get into the point of what they're looking for. So we use something called the hot script formula in our programs, and it stands for hook, outcome, testimonial. So giving people the reason that they should watch, hooking their attention, and giving them the outcome of what they're going to get out of the video, giving them a testimonial or credibility as to why you're actually like authority on this subject, going into your steps, and then at the end, giving them a call to action to your conversion site, and also to give you engagement signals on the platform so that you're gaining more momentum and getting seen by even more people with that video.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing for any piece of content is like, are you intentional with it?
Yeah.
And how much retention are you getting with that post?
And what you said, all of it is just like, we could take out a highlighter and just highlight it all. It's so good. But one of the things is the like, how engaged is everyone? And what are some of the things that you think people can do to engage? You ask questions, you say like, if you're agreeing with me, type this in the comments, type a 1, type a 2, give me a thumbs up. Or do you ask a big question, like an open-ended question for them to comment on? Like what's one? Okay. No.
Yeah. So, especially for new channels, I'm like, ask easy things, because the other thing too is similar to what you talked about with podcasts, where people are like, where do I even find that on my phone? Not everybody uses YouTube every day. And so there's a lot of people who are going to discover your content that don't even really know how to use the platform. So you have to guide them. Yeah. So that's why you want to say things throughout the video that we call engagement call to action. So things like, is this making sense for you? Give me a yes in the comments if it is. And that, honestly, believe it or not, for a lot of people is scary to leave a public comment. So you have to get them over that hurdle to build a relationship with them, so that they then will leave even bigger comments later on. And so giving them that sort of guidance and direction, even at the end of my videos, every single video I end it the same way. If you like this video, hit the like button below, share it with your friends, be sure to subscribe. And the reason I do it is because I know there's a whole bunch of people who are going to watch my videos who have never used the platform before. Yeah. And it's new to them. And so they're like, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do? And then they know, and then they're used to it. And I taught them, so they keep doing it on my channel.
Yep. One more thing before we wrap up is that you're so graceful when it comes to being genuine and enthusiastic, like we said before. And there's a sale there. And the sale is not awkward. There's no apologizing for it. You're like, it's graceful. It's like, hi, I'm Sunny. I'm showing up. I believe in what I'm telling you. And so I'm really happy to invite you to buy this thing because I know it's good for you. So there's no confusion in the audience of like, is she scamming me? Is she worried that she won't get me results? But a lot of people, one of the biggest problems is like, they can learn how to consistently give. They could try to do that. But when it comes to like, oh, I'm going to have to do a call to action. Oh, I'm going to have to sell something. They're like, forget it. I'm out. I can't. They feel gross. They feel like they're doing something wrong. They feel like, how do you get over that? And how do you feel so ready to wake up every morning and be like, I'm selling this and I'm so proud of selling this. So there's no problem. You can just like take the wheels off and go.
I mean, it definitely was a practice for me, and it took time for me to feel really comfortable selling. But I will say, because I think that's just natural. And I think that I don't ever want to like harp on like gender stereotypes, but as a woman as well, like
I agree.
selling was very uncomfortable for me because I was like, oh, I got to really speak up here and I got to like really demand it and it feels aggressive and all these things. Now I actually feel it in my feminine flow a lot more. And it really, for me, is about relationship building. And like, I am doing you a freaking favor by selling to you. And that comes from knowing you have the best product on the market. And I talk about this a lot, but I wake up every day. I have 4 things on my to-do list every day, and that's it. And they're the same 4 things every day. Of course, it ebbs and flows. You have busier times than others. But for me, every single day when I wake up, there's 4 things that I stay with, and that's it. And it keeps me so focused, and it allows me to feel really good about everything that I put up and out into the world. And the 4 things are getting traffic. So I know in order to get traffic, I have to show up and create content. I have to create the best product in the market. So I listen really closely to my clients, and I make sure that I'm constantly making iterations to make it the best it can be. I get social proof and testimonials from my clients to prove to people just how good I am at what I do. And I make sure that we are maximizing our profitability and scalability. So we have cash flow and security in the bank. So I'm never having to be spammy or scammy with people. I'm never selling from a place of like, we got to make money this month. I'm selling from a place of abundance. And that has been the biggest game changer for me is I know that like, I think about this a lot. It must feel awful to try and sell something that you don't believe in and to sell shit. Like that must feel terrible.
Yeah,
and I don't have to feel that way. So because I know what I built works and I know what I built is very, very good. And it's not hard to create a really good product. But the problem is there's so much shiny object syndrome that people get caught up in all of these distractions and shiny things that they need to be doing as opposed to just focusing on the end goal, which is the customer. And I truly believe that your customers are your greatest growth asset. And like we have a flywheel within my business, and the biggest aspects of that flywheel are creating real customer transformations and turning those customers into ambassadors so that they then help us sell more courses and more clients in the door.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Those are such clear things every day to be focusing on. And one thing I want to ask you about that, because everything is so creating content, listen to your clients, that radical empathy, make the iteration, make it again. We talk about this on the show all the time. But this idea of like, make sure you're maximizing and scaling for people who are listening. I get that question a lot. Like what, you say, Cathy, work smarter, not harder. Like what would be the thing that you're always doing to scale that?
So the boring answer to this is I am deep into the spreadsheets every morning. It's the first thing that I do when I wake up. I'm looking at my numbers. I'm looking at where we are for the month. I'm looking at our targets for the month. And I'm looking at how much cash flow we've created for the month. And not revenue, but cash flow. Like how much cash do we actually have in the business? And creating runway so that we know that if the business stopped tomorrow, we still have a lot of time before anything bad would happen. And it gives us that freedom and flexibility because the worst decisions come out of being in a vulnerable state, and the worst decisions come out of being in a place where you just have to make money fast. That's how you get crap products. That's how you get terrible customer reviews. And it's how you feel the most stress in the world because you're selling something that you're not proud of. So I think that's for me what I focus on every morning is really looking at my numbers and knowing them inside and out.
You're so brilliant. Tell us where we can find you. I literally wish I had 16 days right now just to sit here and be like, I have a page of notes in front of me. There's so much coming for you, Sunny. I have so many smart people on the show, and I know you know a lot of smart people, but you are somebody who, this is literally the beginning. I can just tell like your genius goes so far beyond YouTube. Like there's so much to you. There's so much depth, and I just can't wait to sit and watch what's going to be for you in the next 5, 10. Tell us where we can find you.
That's very kind. First of all, thank you so much. You can find me at sunnylenarduzzi.com, and then like all of the resources, all of the things that I talked about today, you can find on my YouTube channel. So just go to Sunny Lenarduzzi on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when new videos go up, and we post several a week. So, and then also the Sunny Show podcast as well.
Yeah, we will put links to all of that in the show notes. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You need to go, but I want to tell you one quick thing that's nothing to do with the podcast because, of course, we're going to stop it. We're edit it here. Me and Jasmine Starr and Jacqueline Johnson. Are you friends with Jacqueline? Of course you are.
I don't think I know Jacqueline, but
She
like
created Create and Cultivate.
So I know her and I follow her and I'm a fangirl, but I've never met
Listen
her.
to me. Listen, me, Jasmine, Jenna Kutcher, and Jacqueline, and my friend Amy Jo Martin, we just yesterday decided to do this once a month thing. We're going to meet on Zoom and just like,
Oh my God,
like,
please can it come?
I was just going to say, do you want to be in it? Because we literally sent the email. I sent the email to all of them yesterday. And
Yes.
I'm going to ask them. Let me ask them if I can include you. It's
Oh
free,
my
obviously.
God.
It's
okay,
just
so
us.
first of all, Amy Jo Martin too. Like I was the original fangirl of her. Like I love her so much.
Okay, I'm going to email them right now because you're amazing and you should be in this thing because we're going to meet once a month and be friends and help each other and support each other. Okay, go live your life. You're awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye, honey.
Bye.